We're going to go ahead and get a Jackman Clematis planted in the ground here. We've got a new gazebo that we set up, and if you take a closer look here, we've got this marjoram on the ground where we only planted about a little 4-inch pot about 7 to 8 years ago, and it's spread out by rhizomes and self-seeding, so it's become very, very unique in this area. The bumblebees, by the way, wow, they just love this plant, and they're going to be just full tilt on this for about 3 weeks. So we're going to let this just be a natural area, not going to sit in there per se, but we do want to get that clematis going up over the post and then down this area and that back down. Clematis can get about 10 to 12 feet if they've got that structure to grow on. Here is what we're shooting for on a clematis. Look at those beautiful blooms. Just an awesome plant from a distance and up close. So we can't wait to get that clematis going on this gazebo. So we'll see what happens. This is our third attempt. We tried clematis up against the house here where this trellis is, and I think because of the overhang, it was just a little bit too dry. It did great for a year. It's also a north exposure, meaning, you know, maybe got some of that east sun, very little, but then in the west it picked up a couple hours, but probably just not enough sun. We also tried the clematis where you see this Thunbergii vine. Short little trellis. We thought if it kind of took hold, we'd put a larger trellis in there, but the Siberian iris behind it just kind of outcompeted it. So we're back to this area. We've got a small little dwarf larch right here. This is something that's going to help shade the root system of the clematis, and that's what they like. They want a cool root system, but the above ground plant, they want that full sun. So what we've got here, we've got an east exposure. We're going to get the morning sun, and then we're going to get a little bit of a reprieve with this big green ash we've got here. And then later in the day, we're going to get full sun for about probably 4 to 5 hours. Until later in the day, we've got a red splendor flowering crab here, which is going to shade it again. We're going to go ahead and get this in the ground. We'll get the shovels out. We've got the tools all ready here. Using mulch is another way to cool that root system. The marjoram as well, having that overstory crop, that's another great way to cool the root system. So I think we've got all the ingredients necessary here for this clematis to take hold. When you're planting, at least for smaller holes, I sometimes find that it's easier just to turn those clumps over right in the hole and kind of bust them apart, rather than trying to bust them apart in your wheelbarrow. I don't tend to add compost when I'm planting. We've got a really nice soil here. It's just a nice loam soil. I do typically add, you know, some different organic fertilizer. Biotone is one that I use quite regularly. So we're going to pop this thing out of here as gentle as we can. Not a bad idea just to do a little gentle removal, depending on the plant again. Sometimes trees, you can really cut them apart. From the reading I've done on clematis, you don't want to disturb the root system too much. So we're just going to break it away from the root ball. And we'll kind of add that fertilizer as we go. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in the bottom, then we'll add some as we go. Since we have had a little problems establishing the clematis, I promised myself I'd go ahead and I'd look through the label for a change. Sometimes, you know, you think you know it all, but let's take a look. Light, partial to full sun. We think we've got that covered. You know, 5 to 6 hours the sun's going to put us in that partial sun. Watering, you know, water deeply after the top is dry. We've got summer through fall blooms, hardiness zone 4 to 9. We're kind of right in that zone 4 where I'm planting, and average size up to 10 to 12 feet. So we're going to have that covered as well as we discuss going over this entire gazebo. I'll also mention that clematis, they are woody plants. They're not herbaceous, meaning you don't necessarily want to be cutting that vine back every season. Some clematis will flower on new wood, some are going to flower more on the old wood. So them are the two different characteristics of the clematis. Thanks for watching Garden Hike. We'll see you again next time.